What's up, guys? So if you want to look into buying an FX gun versus a Daystate, I'm going to break some things down because people think it's like a close choice. You know, which one gun is the most accurate and that? And there's a whole slew of questions you have to ask yourself because they're guns of different personalities. How do you want to maintain them? You know, how do you want to do your day-to-day operations and all that? So let's get into this. So one of the first things is aftermarket parts and configurations. This is one of the things I'm going to say definitely FX. They have a ton of aftermarket parts they can just buy. There's an underhold for a bipod. If you want it, they have it. And this is a modular gun. They've been around a lot longer in their modular gun format versus Daystate's kind of that traditional gun stock. And that kind of puts them in that realm. This is new. This is their Daystate Delta Wolf. It's like their flagship, computerized, a little bit more modular and that. But if you want aftermarket parts, whatever you desire, the FX platform is gonna hold you up on that one as well. Tuning. This is one of the things. It's kind of a loaded question. Tuning, it depends. You know, tuning and air usage, not accuracy. We'll go over that here in a sec. But the tuning and air usage is a little bit. You have to look at things in a little bit different perspective. So let's take the Red Wolf, the Daystate Red Wolf 22 HP. Out of the box, you can shoot 60 to 80 shots on high, probably 100 to 140 shots on medium, and over 200 shots on low. Without a tune, it's like low, medium, high. That's all you do, 1, 2, 3, and you're done. And that. On the FX guns, they allow you to be able to tune and maintain things, or I should say, tune things on the extreme end. So if you want something that can produce really good shot counts, say sub 12 foot-pounds, you can do 1,000 shots. And then if you want something 130 foot-pounds of energy, you can change it around and make that happen. The problem is, or I should say, it's less optimized in that middle ground. They don't kind of bring it in. So Daystate does some things really, really well in that middle ground, where FX kind of does things great across the board, and you have to give up some sacrifices when you go in the middle. So let's say you have a Maverick or an FX Impact in 22, and you want to shoot some slugs at a certain point. You get 80 shots, which is pretty nice. But then if you want to scale back the power, you can make some adjustments, and maybe you want to shoot JSP pellets. You're shooting maybe 100, 120. And that, and you're kind of, and if you want to even go lower than that, it's a little tougher. You might have to really wrench on it. So you got a lot more configuration and fiddling to do to make it do what you want to do. And you might lose your base or your zero. Let's say if the main goal of your slug, it's a slug gun and the main goal is high power, you got to kind of give up some things on both sides of that, because it does what you want really well in that realm. It's the other things that maybe it's not the most efficient down low, since you kind of set it up high. Where the middle ground for the Daystates, they kind of do it well, but the high power they don't do exceptionally well out of the base programming, and the low end they don't do exceptionally well as well. Yeah. So accuracy, there's a few different, there's like 3 types of accuracy we'll talk about. Accuracy out of the box, that's one of them. I'll give to Daystate. So they just seem to have it work out of the box a little bit better. Their knowledge base of what the pellet you use, it seems to be tested. FX does extremely well, better than just about every other air gun out of the box. It's just, you might have to tweak it. And most people, they'll shoot it, but man, I tell you what, you get an FX gun, most guys that buy them are immediately tinkering with the shots, looking at the shot strings, looking at everything, trying to make it perform how they want. They don't trust it coming out of the factory. Daystate, on the other hand, you kind of trust it. You just go, okay, it's there. This is what it shoots. It does pretty well. So out of the box, Daystate, ultimate tuning accuracy. If you really want to get down to the nitty gritty, which is kind of unrealistic, let's say you're going to a contest and that day you need it to be the most accurate as possible, I'd give it to the FX platform, simply from the fact that everything is tunable. Like, you can adjust everything for the way you want it that day. And if you're someone that says like Ernest Rowe, or someone that's just a high-end shooter, high-end tuner, I feel like you could probably get it done. Whatever, that's that fear factor of like, well, you might get stuck with something on the Daystate that doesn't quite work. I don't think you will, but it is possible where you can tune to your heart's delight on this, on the FX platform, and you can get it done. But then comes the third area of accuracy, and that's day-to-day, out of the box, or I should say, out of your gun case accuracy. Like which one will hold tunes better? Which one will hold that zero or do things a little bit better? I feel like it's Daystate. So put it away for 2 weeks, bring it back out. For some reason, the date, it just doesn't change. I haven't had the gun change performance very much, where some of my impacts, the Mavericks, some things change a slight bit. You're like, wow. The other thing is there's a lot more switches on these guns on the impact, where you pull it out and you hear like a power wheel switch some things, or you bump something. You're like, oh, did that turn? Did that, oh man. And you kind of wonder if you're out of tune or where you're at. So you just have to be more careful. But confidence-wise, I'd definitely give it to the Daystate just to shoot time and time again, specifically the way you want it to shoot. All right, so ergonomics. This is a big one. I'm going to give it to Daystate simply from the fact that their traditional gun stocks, the way they do things, their mass is bigger. I'm a taller guy, and to me, the little bullpups, these small guns just don't shoot as accurately for me than they do for other people. So you have other individuals like Ted, Matt Dubber, all these guys that are shooting these, they're smaller guys. And so I think the guns fit them really well. Someone that's probably 6'2", 3, or 5, it's going to be a little bit of a stretch because you have real long arms or something. That traditional gun. This is one thing, if you go away from any of these videos, it's how good is the ergonomics on the gun for you? You can have the most accurate gun, but if it just doesn't fit you, you're just better off just going even a slightly less accurate gun. Don't worry, you'll shoot it much, much better. We haven't even talked about the stand-up shootability. That's the reason if you look at a lot of the field target guns, they're like 12, 13 pounds, and they fit them like a glove. They got hooks, they got all this kind of stuff. But man, they can do some amazing stuff with 17 grain, or I should say 177, 12 foot-pound guns at 50, 60, 80 yards. It's crazy how well they can shoot offhand with those guns, and that's the ergonomics of the guns and how well it fits you. So if I had to say, I would go with the old school Red Wolves or a Crown, but more so overall, probably Daystate traditional gun. Ergonomics wins there. Cost of ownership. So we got the second to last one, cost of ownership. Yeah, up front, impact FX guns are going to be cheaper by, you're going to spend about 2/3 what you would on a Daystate. That's up front, that's your initial. But I don't really know anybody that has an impact that doesn't change the heck out of it. You have these little underbarrel pieces that are like 150 bucks, shrouds, butt stocks, all kinds of stuff. Carbon fiber that runs hundreds and hundreds of dollars. The butt stock on some of these guns are like $350, $400. So you'll be up to the price of a Daystate very quickly. And so the long-term cost is about a wash if you really look at it, and that you might get some more flexibility, but you're always changing parts, maybe breaking some parts, figuring out stuff. Yeah, the cost will kind of equal out over the long term. If you don't change your gun at all, you just shoot it bare stock with nothing on it, impact, I think, kind of wins that race. The last one, guys, is knowledge base. Getting your knowledge on these air guns, setting them up, getting anything, just pure searching on YouTube. Hands down, 100%. The impact. Daystate, they have not done a good job, in my opinion, of that. This is their flagship gun, and it's got an onboard computer with programming, and it's hard. I want to talk to the engineers. I want someone to put out a video on how this operates in advanced settings. I know there's Jared over at Airguns of Arizona. He did a brief intro, but there's so many questions. You could tell he wasn't trained by Daystate because he's like, well, there's a US blah, 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 1000. I'm like, that's microseconds. That's the dwell time. Like, he knows some of that, but it's obviously, we haven't heard from the engineers saying how they built this gun, their method to their madness, where FX is very transparent. They got everyone creating Ernest Rowe. Everybody's creating, videos on how to fine tune the gun. And man, you can find it if you want it. Daystate, just their marketing in general isn't as good as the FX platforms and that, and you can tell. So if you're wanting to do stuff, you're wanting to know that knowledge and kind of have a little bit solid of better community, I'd say better, a little bit more knowledgeable community about the products, go with FX. Daystate's getting better, but on a scale of 1 to 10, I put FX at an 8 or 9 and a Daystate at like 2 or 3. It's that large of throughput, which hopefully they'll get better. Hopefully there'll be more YouTubers on here doing this kind of stuff, or at least talking into the camera on how this stuff's getting set up. But that's it, guys. I hope this helps. Questions, comments, and concerns. And yeah, I will see you next week.